I knew something was off when my mother suddenly showed up asking about my life. Days later, my account was drained. I came to her. She admitted she used it to buy my stepsister a house, so I called the police. I grew up in what you'd call a blended family, which is just a nice way of saying things got messy after my parents split. I was 7 when they broke the news. They sat me down and said, "We still love you, but we don't love each other." It was calm and weirdly polite, no screaming or drama, which felt worse in some ways, like they were so okay with it. Meanwhile, I was clutching my stuffed rabbit trying to figure out if this meant no more family movie nights. After the divorce, my dad moved into a small apartment, and my mom stayed in our house. I went back and forth between them, 1 week here, 1 week there. My dad was steady, reliable, and made sure I had everything I needed, but my mom has a different story. She started dating that guy named Greg not long after the divorce. He moved in pretty quick, and soon after my half-sister Bella was born. That's when I became well invisible. Don't get me wrong, they didn't outright hate me or anything. It was just obvious I wasn't the priority anymore. Bella was their little miracle baby, and I was the leftover kid. My birthdays were forgotten more often than not, school events skipped. I still remember standing in the rain after a parent-teacher conference in 4th grade waiting for over an hour. When I finally called my mom, she was like, "Oh, was that today? Sorry, I was busy with Bella's play date." By the time I was 12, I had basically moved in with my dad. He saw how things were going and asked if I wanted to live with him full-time. I didn't hesitate. My mom didn't put up a fight. If anything, she seemed relieved to not have to juggle me with Bella and Greg. I stopped expecting much from her after that. No calls, no texts, nothing. It was like I'd been quietly phased out of her life. Fast forward to now, I'm 27. I've worked my behind off at my job in finance, saved up every spare penny, and I'm finally on the verge of buying my first house. I haven't heard from my mom in years. She didn't care when I graduated, didn't check in when I got my job, and definitely didn't ask about my plans. A few weeks ago, she called me last month. "I've been thinking about you. We should have dinner. I miss you so much," she says, like we'd spoken last week instead of practically a decade ago. It threw me off, but I agreed. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to believe she'd changed, or maybe I just wanted to see what she really wanted, because knowing her, it wasn't just to catch up. Dinner was weird. Mom and Greg were extra interested in my job, asking all these specific questions about my salary, my savings, and my future plans. At one point, Mom said, "You've always been so good with money. You must be doing great." Bella, who's now in college, chimed in with, "Wow, still in that tiny apartment? I thought you'd have upgraded by now." Greg leaned in, trying to look casual. "So you've been saving for a house, right? That's a smart move. Houses are a great investment," he said, giving Mom a quick side-eye. Bella, barely looking up from her phone, piped in, "Yeah, houses are expensive though. I mean, I'm looking at apartments near campus, and even those are ridiculous. It must be nice to already have the money figured out." The whole conversation felt weirdly specific, like they weren't just curious. They were fishing for something. Then Greg added, "Must be nice to have a steady paycheck. Some of us aren't so lucky," he said with this exaggerated sigh, like I was supposed to feel bad for him. Mom shot him a quick glance but didn't say anything. Instead, she turned to me with a sugary, sweet smile. "You know, honey, it's so impressive how responsible you are. I bet you've got quite the savings built up, don't you?" I shrugged, trying to play it off. "I'm doing okay." Bella, still scrolling on her phone, snorted and said, "Okay, please. You've probably got a fortune saved by now, so what's your rent? Bet it's a lot for such a tiny place." She didn't even look up when she said it. The whole thing felt calculated, like they'd coordinated ahead of time to corner me. It wasn't a conversation. It was an interrogation. They got me anxious, and I even checked my bank account the next day just in case, but everything was fine. I thought, okay, maybe I'm just being paranoid. Then last week, I went on a work trip overseas. When I landed and turned my phone back on, I got hit with a ton of notifications, banking alerts, one after another. I logged in to check, and I was totally shocked. My savings account, everything I'd worked for, everything I'd been carefully building, was empty, zero. It felt like the ground disappeared under me. My head was spinning, my chest tight, and I couldn't even think straight. I scrolled through the transactions, desperate to find some explanation, and then I saw it, her name, my mom's name. My own mother drained my account. I stared at the screen, trying to make sense of it. How the heck did she even do this? I never gave her my banking information. I never left anything out, and yet there it was, thousands of dollars transferred out, one chunk at a time. I don't know what to do. Part of me wants to march over there, shove my phone in her face, and demand to know how the heck she pulled this off. How could she betray me like this? But the other part of me is screaming to just skip all that and go straight to the police. She doesn't deserve a conversation, right? She doesn't deserve an ounce of trust after this. But then I think, what if there's some explanation? What if confronting her gets me the answers I need? Or worse, what if I confront her and she talks her way out of it like she always does? What if I wait too long and lose my chance to take legal action? I feel stuck, torn between wanting to hear it from her and knowing I probably shouldn't waste the time. Either way, she doesn't get to keep my money. I'm not letting her get away with this. But right now, I don't even know my next step. Do I confront her first? Do I go straight to the cops? What if I make the wrong move and she somehow twists this to her advantage? I'll figure it out. I have to. But for now, I just needed to get this out. My head is spinning and I need a plan before I do anything. I'll keep you updated. Update 1. Hey again. First off, thanks for all the comments on my original post. I didn't expect so many people to care, but reading through your advice gave me a lot of clarity. I promised an update, and now that I've had time to figure out more of what went down, I'm back with everything I've uncovered so far. So after staring at my drained account and trying not to throw my laptop across the room, I decided the first step was to contact my bank. I needed to know exactly how this happened. The rep on the phone was super polite, but you could tell they were tiptoeing around me like they were afraid I was about to blow up. I explained that a ton of money had been transferred from my account without my consent and asked them to walk me through what they could see on their end. They confirmed the transfers were initiated online using my account credentials. I was so confused. I'd never shared my login details with anyone, not even my dad, who I trust with my life. I asked if there was any record of the device used to access my account. After putting me on hold for what felt like forever, they came back and told me the logins came from a device they couldn't fully identify, but was flagged as previously unauthorized. Basically, someone had logged in from a device that had already been connected to my account before. That's when it hit me. My mom had been over to my apartment a couple of weeks ago, right before the dinner, where she got super nosy about my finances. She'd used my bathroom while I was making coffee. At the time, I didn't think twice about it, but now I'm starting to piece things together. Here's my theory: while she was in the bathroom, she must have grabbed my phone. I don't use biometrics, don't judge me, and my banking app auto-logs in. She could have accessed it, found what she needed, and made a mental note of my credentials. I know it sounds wild, but it's the only thing that makes sense. She had no other way of getting that information. After I got off the phone with the bank, I called my dad to let him know what was going on. He's always been my go-to for advice, and I needed someone to tell me I wasn't losing my mind. When I told him everything, he got quiet for a long time before saying, "You need to go to the police." I wasn't ready to take that step yet. I mean, we're talking about my mom. I didn't want to believe she'd planned this. Maybe it was some huge misunderstanding. Maybe she meant to borrow the money and just hadn't told me. I decided I had to talk to her first just to hear what she'd say. So I drove to her house, screenshots of the transfers saved on my phone, fully prepared to demand answers. Greg opened the door with this smug look on his face I always hated, and honestly, I almost turned around right then, but I'd come too far to back out. "Is Mom home?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. "She's inside," Greg said, stepping aside like he knew exactly why I was there. I found her in the living room flipping through a magazine like she didn't have a care in the world. When she saw me, she smiled and said, "Oh, hi, sweetie. What a nice surprise." I wasn't there for small talk. I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshots. "What is this? How did you transfer money from my account?" She didn't even pretend to be shocked. She glanced at the screen and said, "I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't play dumb," I said. "These transfers are in your name. The money's gone, and it's sitting in your account. I want to know how you did it." That's when she dropped the act. She sighed like I was the one inconveniencing her and said, "Look, Bella needed help and you weren't willing to step up, so we took care of it ourselves." "Took care of it?" I could barely process what she was saying. "You stole from me. That money was for my house." "Oh, calm down," she said, waving me off like I was being dramatic. "You're young. You have a good job. You can save it back up. Bella's just starting out. She needs this more than you do." I stood there stunned while she rambled about how families should help each other and how it was selfish of me to keep all that money to myself. Then Greg, who had been lurking in the doorway, decided to chime in. "You're overreacting," he said. "It's not like she spent it all. Bella just needed a little head start, that's all." I thought a little head start. My entire savings wiped out and they're acting like it's pocket change. I told them I wanted my money back immediately or I was going to the police. That's when my mom smirked and said, "You wouldn't do that. I'm your mother. You don't want to cause a family scandal, do you?" "Oh, but I do." I turned to leave and Greg grabbed my arm and said, "You don't need to make this ugly. Just let it go, okay?" I pulled my arm off, looking disgusted, and told him, "This is your last chance. Return my money or I'll make sure you regret it. I didn't stick around to hear their response. I walked out, got in my car, and drove straight to the police station. So yeah, that's where I'm at now. I filed a fraud report and handed over all the evidence I have. The bank is working with the authorities to investigate, and my mom's account has already been flagged. I'm waiting to see what happens next, but I'm not letting this slide. I know some people will say, but it's your mom. And to that I say, family doesn't give you a free pass to screw someone over. If she thought stealing from me was okay, then she can deal with the consequences. I'll keep you all posted as this unfolds, but right now, I'm just trying to stay focused and not completely lose it. Update 2. Alright y'all, I'm back, and things have escalated more than I expected. After filing the report, I thought I'd just be sitting around waiting for updates from the police. Turns out, that's not how this works. It's been a whirlwind, and let me tell you, my mom and Greg are not taking this well. First, let me walk you through what happened after I left the police station. I handed over every piece of evidence I had, the screenshots, the bank statements, and even text messages from my mom after the dinner where she was poking around about my savings. The detective handling my case was amazing. She listened to everything and didn't treat me like I was overreacting. She told me they'd freeze my mom's account while they investigate, which gave me a weird sense of relief, like at least the money wasn't going anywhere. But when they tried to contact my mom to inform her about the investigation, she denied everything. Not just the theft, but the fact that she'd even talked to me about money. She told them, "I don't know what she's talking about. She must have made a mistake." A mistake? Lady, I have receipts. I guess she thought she could just lie her way out of it. But unfortunately for her, the bank had already flagged the transfers. There was no way to spin this. The money trail led directly to her account. When the police confronted her with this, she switched her story. Suddenly, it wasn't a mistake anymore. Now it was all a misunderstanding. Apparently, her new angle was that she borrowed the money with every intention of paying it back. Borrowed without asking from your own kid? Yeah, sure, that checks out. While this was happening, I got a call from Greg. I don't know why I even picked up, but I was curious about what he had to say. He started off all fake calm, like he was trying to play peacemaker. "Look," he said, "you're blowing this way out of proportion. Your mom's upset, and she didn't mean for things to get this far. Why don't we just drop the charges, and we'll figure something out as a family? Like what, you give me my money back and we pretend this didn't happen," I said. "That's the idea," he said, like it was the most reasonable thing in the world. I couldn't even hold back. "Greg, you broke into my life and stole over $100,000. Do you have any idea what you've put me through? This isn't something I can just drop. You're both thieves, and you're going to face the consequences." That's when his tone flipped. He went from fake friendly to straight up nasty. "You think you're so high and mighty, don't you, little bee?" he sneered. "Living your little fancy life while your family struggles. You've always been selfish. Maybe this is karma." I hung up on him. I don't have time for people who think they're entitled to my hard-earned money just because we are a family. A few days later, I got another update from Officer Taylor. They'd officially frozen my mom's account, but here's the twist: she'd already transferred some of the money to a third account under Bella's name. Yup, they were trying to launder the money through my half-sister, probably hoping it wouldn't be traced. Now let me be clear, I don't know how much Bella was involved in this. She's a college kid, and while she's been a brat in the past, I never thought she'd actually stoop this low. But when the police contacted her to question her about the account, she played dumb. She denied knowing anything at first, but when I confronted her, I pressed harder. She let something slip. "Mom and Greg told me they were helping me secure an apartment. They said you'd be okay with it," she blurted out. My jaw dropped. An apartment with my savings. Bella had the nerve to look annoyed. "It's not like they spent all of it. They said it was a loan and you'd probably never even notice." As more details came out during the investigation, it became harder to believe Bella's "I didn't know" act. The fact that a chunk of the stolen money had been funneled directly into her account wasn't just a coincidence, it was deliberate, and the way she brushed it off when questioned made it even worse. I thought Mom was just helping me with expenses. She told the police, but come on, she's not stupid. She's in college and knows how money works. At one point, she even defended the whole scheme to me, saying, "Mom just did what she thought was best for the family. You could have helped willingly, but you didn't. So what was she supposed to do? Like stealing from me was somehow my fault." The fallout at this point was wild. My mom started calling every relative we have, spinning her sob story about how I was ruining her life and dragging the family through the mud. She told everyone that I was exaggerating, that it was all a misunderstanding, and that I was being heartless for going to the police. Guess what? Most of the family didn't buy it. My dad, who has always been my rock, made sure everyone knew the truth. He sent out a mass email to the entire extended family laying out the facts, the bank transfers, the police report, and even a few choice quotes from my mom admitting she took the money. The responses were mixed. Some people rallied around me saying what my mom did was unforgivable. Others tried to play the family should stick together card, like I was somehow in the wrong for not sweeping this under the rug. Meanwhile, I started getting anonymous messages on social media, stuff like, "You're a terrible daughter," and "How could you do this to your own mother?" I blocked every account, but I have a feeling Greg was behind them. He seems like the type who thinks online harassment is a valid way to win an argument. Through all of this, I've been staying focused on the bigger picture. The investigation is moving forward, and the detective assured me that I have a strong case with the evidence I've provided. It's likely my mom will face criminal charges, especially since she lied during the initial questioning. As for the money, the bank has already started the process of recovering it. They were able to freeze most of what was left in my mom's account, and they're working on getting the portion that was transferred to Bella's account. It's going to take time, but at least I know I'll get it back eventually. In the meantime, I've taken steps to protect myself. I changed all my passwords, set up two-factor authentication on every account I have, and even installed a security camera in my apartment. Paranoid maybe, but after what's happened, I'm not taking any chances. I'm also looking into getting a restraining order against my mom and Greg. The idea of them being able to waltz into my life whenever they feel like it makes my skin crawl. They've already proven they don't respect boundaries, so I'm making darn sure they can't cross anymore. So yeah, that's where things stand. It's messy, it's stressful, and it's not over yet, but I'm holding my ground. They thought they could walk all over me, but they underestimated how far I'm willing to go to protect what's mine. I'll update again when there's more to share, but for now I just want to say thanks to everyone who's had my back. You've helped me stay sane through this insanity, and I can't tell you how much that means. Update 3. Hey guys, I'm back with another update, and this one's a doozy. If you've been following along, you know I reported my mom and my stepfather for stealing my savings. Well, things have escalated big time. I'm writing this fresh from the courthouse because yes, we went to court and no, it did not go the way my mom thought it would. Let me pick up where I left off. After my last update, things got messier. The police finished their investigation and formally charged my mom with fraud and theft. When she got the notice, she lost it. She called me over 20 times in a single day. I didn't answer a single call, but I did save the voicemails. They were a mix of crocodile tears and threats. "I can't believe you're doing this to your own mother. You're tearing this family apart. Is this really how you want people to remember you?" Another was more like, "You think you're so smart, don't you? You don't know how the world works, kid. You'll regret this when you realize what you've done." I forwarded every voicemail to my lawyer. If she wanted to guilt me, she picked the wrong tactic. I was done being the family doormat. The court date was set pretty quickly because the evidence was airtight. My bank had provided all the documentation showing the unauthorized transfers, and the police had statements from both me and my mom. She tried to play innocent, claiming it was all a misunderstanding, but her lies caught up to her fast. When I walked into that courtroom, I wasn't sure what to expect. I was nervous, sure, but mostly I was angry. Angry that I even had to be there, angry that my own mom put me in this position, and angry that she was still trying to spin this as me being the bad guy. She showed up with Greg and Bella in tow. Bella wouldn't even look at me, but Greg had his stupid smug face on full display like he thought they were about to walk out scot-free. My mom played the part of the victim perfectly. She had on this somber outfit like she was heading to a funeral and kept dabbing her eyes with a tissue. When it was her turn to speak, she laid it on thick. "I'm just a mother trying to help her child," making her voice shaky. My daughter Bella was in a difficult situation and I didn't think my other daughter would mind helping. It was never meant to be theft. It was a loan one I fully intended to repay. My lawyer didn't hold back, "Your Honor." He said, "The defendant's justification for taking this money was to use it for a down payment on a luxury apartment for her younger daughter Bella. The plaintiff's entire savings were funneled into this purchase without her consent." The tension increased. Greg squirmed in his seat, and Bella turned bright red. Mom, however, kept up her innocent act, saying, "I thought it would be fine. Family helps family." I almost laughed out loud. You get help from your family without asking, draining my entire savings account without a word. Then my lawyer presented the evidence, and her story unraveled fast. He showed the screenshots of the transfers, highlighted the fact that they were labeled as personal transfers, and even played some of the voicemails she'd left me. The courtroom was silent as one of the voicemails played, You think you're so high and mighty just because you've got some bucks now? You'd be nothing without this family. Don't you dare forget where you came from, you ungrateful little brat. Acting like you're better than us. Please, you're just a stuck-up wannabe riding on the coattails of people who actually matter. The judge didn't look impressed. In fact, he looked downright annoyed. Then Greg tried to speak up, saying, "Your Honor, this is just a family disagreement blown out of proportion. My wife—" The judge cut him off. "You are not the defendant, and unless you're testifying under oath, you will remain silent." Greg's face turned bright red and he slumped back in his seat. I swear that moment was the highlight of my day. When it was my turn to speak, I kept it simple. I told the court about how I'd been saving for years, how I worked hard to build my future, and how betrayed I felt when I realized my mom had taken it all without even asking. This wasn't about helping my sister, I said. This was about control. She didn't like that I was independent and didn't need her, so she decided to take what wasn't hers. Family doesn't do this to each other. The judge nodded along as I spoke, and when I was done, he looked directly at my mom and said, "Your actions were not only illegal, but deeply unethical. You violated your daughter's trust in a way that is inexcusable. This court finds you guilty of theft and fraud." He sentenced her to a suspended sentence, which basically means no jail time, as long as she follows the court's conditions. But the best part is she was ordered to return every single penny she stole within 30 days, and if she didn't, the suspended sentence would turn into actual jail time. When the verdict was read, my mom looked like she'd been slapped. Greg muttered something under his breath and Bella was standing there staring at me. I actually thought she'd come and apologize, but nope, she just glared like I'd ruined her life. After the hearing, Greg stormed up to me in the hallway. "This isn't over," he hissed. "You've humiliated us, and you'll regret it." I stared at him and said, "The only thing I regret is trusting either of you. Stay out of my life." Then I walked away. Things are getting interesting. Most of my extended family is on my side, especially after I sent out a group text explaining everything. I guess when you stand up for yourself and claim power, no one has anything to judge you about. And if they did, I'll shut them all up because I'm already fed up with this nonsense. My dad came to court with me, and afterward he gave me a hug and said, "You did the right thing, kid. I'm proud of you." That meant more to me than I can even put into words. Now I'm waiting for my money to be returned. The bank has already started the process, and as of today, my mom has repaid about half of it. The rest is due by the deadline, and if she doesn't cough it up, well, that's not my problem anymore, it's the courts. I've also filed for a restraining order against both her and Greg. I don't want them anywhere near me, my apartment, or my accounts ever again. I'll keep you posted on how the repayment goes, but for now, I'm feeling a lot lighter. This isn't the ending I wanted, but it's the one they forced me to create. Thanks for sticking with me through all this, guys. Final update. Hi guys, it's been a wild ride. I'm back with what's probably going to be one of my last updates. A lot has happened since the court ruling, and while things are finally calming down, the fallout from this whole mess has been nothing short of chaotic. So after the judge ordered my mom to pay back the stolen money, I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. You'd think getting caught and dragged to court would have made her and Greg back off, but these two are relentless. They actually had the audacity to try and appeal the ruling, claiming the court was too harsh, and that the sentence didn't take family dynamics into account. The court basically told them, "You stole the money, you admitted to it, and now you're paying it back. Deal with it." Their appeal was denied almost immediately, and I thought that would be the end of it. But of course, they couldn't just leave it there. A few days after the appeal was shot down, I started getting these weird passive-aggressive texts from Bella, stuff like, "Hope you're happy. Mom's been crying nonstop and it's all your fault. Do you even care what you've done to this family?" And my personal favorite, "You might have your money, but you've lost your family forever." At this point, there's nothing I could say that would make them understand how messed up this whole situation is, and honestly, I'm done trying. I've spent enough of my life bending over backward for people who clearly don't care about me. On the bright side, the bank officially transferred the last of my money back into my account last week. Seeing my savings back where they belong was like finally being able to breathe after holding my breath for months. I'm still working on getting the restraining order finalized, but having my finances secure again feels like a huge step forward. Remember how I mentioned some relatives tried to guilt me into letting this go? Well, a few of them have really leaned into the drama. My aunt, let's call her Karen because she's basically the walking stereotype, decided to hold a family meeting to discuss rebuilding bridges. She called me up and said, "I think it's time for everyone to come together and heal. Your mom's been through a lot and this situation has been hard on all of us." I nearly laughed. You mean it's been hard on her because she got caught stealing? I said. What exactly do you want me to do here, Karen? Pretend it didn't happen. Karen said like I was the unreasonable one. It's not about pretending, it's about forgiveness. Family is family. Then maybe she should have acted like family before robbing me blind. I snapped and hung up. Apparently, Karen went around telling everyone I was being cold and vindictive, but to my surprise, most of the family didn't agree with her. My dad's side in particular has been super supportive. The biggest shock, though, came from Bella. About a week ago, she showed up at my apartment unannounced. I wasn't sure whether to slam the door in her face or hear her out, but I opened it for her. What do you want, Bella? I asked, crossing my arms. She was fuming. I don't see why you couldn't just let it go, she snapped as soon as I opened the door. Mom and Greg were just trying to make sure I had a place to live. You didn't need all that money right away and you're already doing fine. Doing fine, Bella? They stole from me to get you an apartment and now you're mad because I didn't let them. I couldn't believe her nerve. You're so selfish, she hissed. It's just money. They were doing it for me. Why don't you get your behind to work and get yourself an apartment? That's my last advice to you, and I don't want to see your face at my door again. I slammed the door in her face. I'm done arguing with people who can't grasp basic morality. As for my mom and Greg, they're still playing the victim. Last I heard, they were telling anyone who would listen that I'm a greedy, selfish child who's punishing them for no reason. I've blocked them on everything, so I only hear about their nonsense through other people. Honestly, I couldn't care less. Right now, I'm focusing on moving forward. I'm officially under contract for a house, a cozy 3-bedroom not far from my dad's place. I'm working with a realtor and a decorator to make it feel like home, and it's the first time in months that I felt genuinely excited about something. When I close on the house, I'm planning a housewarming party with the people who've stood by me through all of this, my dad, my stepmom, my friends, and the relatives who had my back, the people who actually deserve to be called family. I know this isn't the ending my mom probably envisioned, but it's the one she created. She chose money over our relationship, and now she has to live with the consequences. Your comments and advice helped me find the strength to stand up for myself, and I'll always be grateful for that. If anything else comes up, I'll be sure to let you know, but for now, I'm ready to put this chapter of my life behind me.